Hey, what is going on there YouTube? This is Robert and today I am bringing you to my normal thing that I do either at the beginning of the season or just after the first week, sometimes like a week before the season actually begins, and that is to go over Autofill, Google Chrome and in general your best ways that you can cop this season manually. Now a lot of things will change, a lot of things will update, and when the first week comes in we'll have to see if anything new has been implemented or if it's different or if it's better for manual or not. But yeah, this is just going to cover the basics at the end of the day, so let's get straight into it. Okay, so getting straight into things, or onto things in the end. Now, for the purpose of this video, I'm going to be using Palace because obviously the Supreme site isn't up currently for me to show you any of the details, but I do have footage from last season of which I recorded to do this example and give this example. So yeah, let's get on with the basics. So I'm in a new profile, or I'm on a new profile currently, and we're going to start things off with Chrome Autofill because it is the one thing that I have mentioned just a ludicrous amount of times overall. So to get onto your autofill, or to get to autofill in general, there are three ways to do this. You can either click on the three little dots in the corner here and go on to settings, of which from there you can just click autofill on this side, and then you can go to the addresses and all of the other details. Another method is to just click onto your little profile that's there, and then you can just click onto the addresses, which is the one on the right, and that's going to do the exact same thing and open it up. And the last thing that you can do is just take the URL that's in my comment or my pinned comment, and you just copy that and paste that in if you'd like to as well. So yeah, so a couple of things. First and foremost, this slider needs to be across. It's very helpful for it to be across, and there's no need to just untick it at any point in time. So what you're wanting to do is just click add, and then go ahead and add your address. I'm just going to do the same as I have done in the past and just add the Supreme store address. Okay, so once you've gone ahead and done that, all you need to do is click save. If you do have different sections to your address, say you've got your house name or your house number, then you've got the street, then you've got another detail and one more after that, then what you want to do is just go down and just hit enter each time to put them onto a different line, because then it will recognize that there are different lines to each thing and it will put them into the correct order. So what we're going to do is click save from here, and that has been saved. Now like I said, for the example we're just going to be using Palace, and we're just going to go plain and simple with an item that is available. In this case I'm going to go with this piece because, well, why not at the end of the day. So what we're going to do is click add to cart. We're going to go to the cart, do the same normal sort of thing when you go to checkout, and then here all you're going to do is just click once. Once you've done that, you're going to get this little pop-up which will allow you to choose your details. You can also click manage addresses if you want to add more or if you need to edit anything, but all I'm going to do is click that, and that will instantly just fill in all of my details like that. Now what I'm going to do is obviously bring up the sort of summary, or showing me doing the same thing on Supreme. The exact same, just clicking, adding, job done. Now on Supreme, it has the same sort of thing as Palace, where you can click like save address for future orders. I'd recommend doing that, and at the same time the other thing that I do with Supreme, which doesn't really work with me for Palace because I always have to fill in my details again, just like I did a moment ago, is that I normally, when I get to the payment, because Palace's system is a bit different, but when I get to the payment with Supreme, I normally just click their little tick for accepting their terms and conditions and hit process a couple of times. And what this normally does is that it will save the details on there, and it will normally store them. Sometimes it stores them until next season, sometimes it doesn't. If it does store them until the next season, you don't really have to worry. If it doesn't, then you just have to go through the same thing. Now I know that there's been a massive error and issue with this over the last couple of seasons, especially in America, where people's details just haven't saved, they've been wiped. Sometimes it's been missing a specific part of the address. I know it's an issue, and unfortunately there's not really a way to go about it unless you want to use an extension or something else that would just fill in the details completely. But you're better off just going this way, just go manual, even if you have to fill in a detail or two. Now one of the other things that you can do with autofill is obviously add a payment method. Now if you do have an issue with your address or anything where it just doesn't fill in on Supreme, or it doesn't save a specific part, what you could do instead is copy and paste that part to the address and instead add your payment method onto Chrome and let it autofill that instead. Now this isn't exactly something that I do personally. I've always left this be, purely because I just never really want to add my card details onto there at the end of the day, and that's just my personal preference in the end. But like I said, you can go ahead and do that if you'd like to. The one thing that you do have to make sure is that you don't check out too fast in the end. I know sometimes it's a bit stupid to say, but genuinely, Going too fast at some points can be a downside, so you sometimes want to just limit your speed and just make things a bit smoother and easier by taking a second or two or pausing for a second or two when you're doing something. Now obviously a couple of things that I just want to highlight and say before we just go on to the mobile side, because it will be the exact same footage that I used last time, is that I personally have or do a couple of things each season, or that I just get ready with a majority of the time, just because you know, you just need to be ready. So the first thing that you need to do is just familiarize yourself with all the things on the left. If anything messes up, or if any of your tabs mess up and don't load, make sure you do a couple of different methods. One of them is going to be the carousel. If you have issues, you know, getting onto an item or getting onto a product, the carousel at the front is a very useful thing because the new items will always be on the left. For the week 1 drop, it might not be too useful, but at some points when there are specific items dropping, it is very useful to utilize that, because that will probably be the first thing that will update in comparison to any of the tabs or on the actual shop itself. Another thing is that if you do have a mouse, or you have the opportunity to get a mouse, please do. They're an absolute lifesaver just to go back and forth and everything, and just to be able to click in an easier fashion and direct yourself instead of using like a mouse pad or like a trackpad. It's so much easier to use a literal just mouse by itself. And yeah, you don't need an expensive one at the end of the day, and it will save you a lot of time and be extremely helpful, because you can go right click and do whatever you need to do, and it is a lot quicker than having to do that. Another thing that I do personally is that I copy and paste my card details. I know the rest of the details on my card like off by heart in the end, just because I do in the end. And yeah, normally for me it's quite easy for me just to have it copied and then go in and paste it and type in the rest of the details when I want to. So yeah, that's just something that I do. But yeah, onto the iOS or mobile side. So for mobile, it is the same as always in the end. What you want to do is create or edit your profile on your phone. You want to change the details so that they are set, also your address is set to you, so that you can choose it as your autofill details. Then when you go onto Safari and choose the item that you want to check out on, for instance, obviously I always give an example, but when you go on to do that, then what you can do is simply click for the details, choose your contact, which will be yourself, and then just autofill the details. Sometimes they don't save, and yeah, that can be an issue obviously, but what you want to do in that case is the same as I did on Supreme, where you just hit process a couple of times. You don't need to put any details in or any card details in, and it should automatically save and keep them there for the next time that you go ahead and check out. But realistically, that is pretty much it. Those are going to be the things that are going to improve your odds the best as an overall. You know, when it comes to checking out with Supreme, it's very difficult, so I would recommend also, if you can, to possibly have an Incognito tab open. I will open up one now, for instance, which is just Control Shift and N, or you can do whichever the Mac is, Command Shift N, and we're just going to go onto Palace again and do the exact same thing. And with autofill on here, the only difference is that when I add to cart, go to cart, I agree, I hit checkout, I can choose to select my details like that, but if I'm doing this on Supreme, then my details will not be saved onto that. It will be completely blank, and at some points in time this can just help you in case you've got like a processing issue or something. So I'd recommend normally just to have the shop open just on Incognito. I always do it. It's always just a safety precaution for me, because if I get a card decline or a high traffic or something, I normally straight away switch over to that and go with that, and if that doesn't work, I also just have my phone set up and ready as well. But yeah, that is pretty much everything at the end of the day. That is all the information that I can give. If you've got any questions, just comment them down below as per norm. I upload these like once a season basically, so there's not really any information that changes, and if anything does change or if I find anything new out, then obviously I will say so. One thing that you do need to keep in mind is that if you are logged into a Google account or Gmail account, you might want to check your Captcha score just to see where you're at, because at some points in time, you know, you might get captchas because your score is low, and if you've got a decent score, it helps. It really does help at the end of the day, because you don't want to be getting spammed with captchas when you're going to check out. It's a pain. So yeah, just make sure when it comes to this whole reCAPTCHA like that, it'll pop up with them. Palace, normally it always pops up with them, but the thing is that you really don't want these, because as you can see, they can just take up a lot of time, and it's just very boring to go through that whole process of filling them out and doing them. But yeah, just make sure to check your score and see where it's at, but that is going to cover it. So good luck to everyone who's going for the drop tomorrow. myself included in that. I'm obviously going to be going for 2 or 3 things in the end. We'll see how the drop goes at the end of the day. I hope that it does just end up going well. I really do want that Cozi deck, which is why I'm probably going to have my laptop and my phone ready. I'm probably going to put my laptop on a VPN just in case it detects something with my IP. I never normally have issues with IP or things like that, but you never know, something could go wrong. So yeah, it's better to have everything prepared and ready in case of that. But that is going to cover it. So thank you for watching. Good luck for tomorrow. Other than that, I hope that you have a good day, and I will see you all next time. Peace.